This video explores how World War I transformed conflict into the machine of modern war, forging a new, brutal reality of combat. In just 100 years, the face of battle became unrecognizable. Warfare moved from formations and cavalry to industrial-scale annihilation, dominated by machinery and scarred earth. The engine of destruction was fueled by two forces: industrialization and total war. Industrialization enabled mass production of weapons, while total war mobilized all of a nation's resources, blurring the line between soldier and civilian. Factories became as critical as fortresses. The Industrial Revolution turned Europe's industrial apparatus toward military production, fueling a conflict of attrition. Production of explosives skyrocketed between 1914 and 1917. Total war expanded the battlefield to include everything. It mobilized all resources and erased the distinction between combatants and non-combatants, making cities and civilian infrastructure legitimate targets. Every citizen became part of the war machine. Women were mobilized to work in factories, and civilians were asked to make sacrifices through rationing. Governments used powerful propaganda to finance the immense cost. The engine's output was new ways to kill in a new kind of battlefield. This fusion produced deadly new technologies and trench warfare, leading to a static, defensive stalemate. Technology delivered death with terrifying efficiency. The machine gun made frontal assaults, suicidal, and chemical warfare, using chlorine and mustard gas, brought new terror, causing blindness, blisters, and death. Mechanical monsters were unleashed on land, sea, and air. Tanks were introduced across no man's land. Submarines disrupted shipping with torpedoes, and airplanes evolved from reconnaissance into fighters and bombers. The inescapable logic of modern firepower forced armies to go to ground. To survive new artillery and machine guns, both sides dug vast trench networks, resulting in a bloody stalemate known as the Western Front. Life in the trenches was an existence of misery and fear. Soldiers lived in mud, swarmed by rats, with little fresh food or sleep under the constant threat of artillery fire. The result was a scarred landscape of futile slaughter. Offensives meant climbing out into no man's land, under machine gun fire for minimal gains, as seen in the costly battles of Verdun and the Somme. The machine of war produced an unfathomable human cost. World War I resulted in nearly 20 million deaths, 4 times deadlier than the Napoleonic Wars, demonstrating the brutal efficiency of industrialized conflict. World War I was a new blueprint for conflict. It established a paradigm where national industrial capacity and complete mobilization were the ultimate weapons, casting a long shadow over the rest of the 20th century. European powers believed industrial advances like machine guns would lead to quick, decisive victories. Instead, these technologies created unprecedented stalemates and mass casualties, ignoring the human cost. How did new technologies of warfare before World War I change how nations thought wars would be fought, and why were those expectations so wrong? The combination of machine guns, barbed wire, and artillery made offensive movement deadly. This forced armies into trench systems that led to years of brutal, stagnant fighting. Why did trench warfare become the defining feature of World War I? And what does it teach us about modern military stalemates? Factories mass-produced weapons, ammunition, and artillery shells. This turned warfare into an industrial process, where casualties could be replaced as quickly as equipment. How did factories and industrial production contribute to the brutality of World War I? Poison gas, such as chlorine and mustard gas, introduced a new level of fear and suffering. It caused long-term injuries and psychological trauma, the effects of which lasted long after the war. What role did chemical weapons play in escalating the horrors of World War I, and why does their legacy still matter today? Tanks were developed to break trench stalemates, while airplanes introduced aerial combat. Submarines transformed naval warfare, particularly with unrestricted submarine warfare. How did the introduction of tanks, airplanes, and submarines change warfare during World War I, and shape modern combat.